verdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todo se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hacia dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nati Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi misión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
What's happening? It's the Rise Up Morning Show. What's going on? Kalanji Chong in the building. Who I'm running with right now? What's up? Who I'm with?
I think you're a brother from another mother, right?
Brother from another mother. Yes. Not the same mother, the same motherland. You know what I'm saying? We got separated at birth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
We here on different colonies, different plantations and whatnot. Exactly. Word up. Yeah, man. Boona's in the building. How you feeling, man? You all right?
Like I always say, it's all good, man.
It's all good?
Yeah.
I need to learn from y'all, man, since it's all good. I know you've been running with that African dude that live in Spain. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell him what y'all been doing, man. You know? Shout out to the brother Bowie.
Yeah.
You know, who complaining in the background, you know what I'm saying, talking about he only got 15 minutes of time. We asked him one question, he spoke for 15 minutes. Anyway, you check it out, the Rise Up Morning Show. This is Black Power Media, you know, where we bring you that critical political action. You know what I'm saying? Every day is a great day for revolution. Today's a powerful day, Bona.
Yeah.
If you know it or not. You know what I mean? Today's a day, one of our heroes, you know, a legend was born on this day, August 30th. You know what I mean? Brother we know here in the United States and abroad as Chairman Fred Hampton. You know, so today is a good brother, Chairman Fred Hampton's birthday. He was born in 1948.
Yep.
You know, assassinated in 1969.
Yeah.
So, you know, we give honor and thanks for this brother that put in work before we was born. You know what I mean? I had the opportunity to organize with his family. I met his mother, you know what I'm saying? Mama Iberia Hampton had the opportunity to spend a little time with her. Organized with you know, his fiance, his wife, Mama Kua and Jerry, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mama Kua. And I ran for many years with a good comrade, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., who we've had on this platform. You know what I mean? So we salute them on this day. We know that in Chicago, you know, they're celebrating right now. They're celebrating the life of Chairman Fred, who was the deputy minister. For folks who aren't familiar, Chairman Fred Hampton was the deputy chairman of the Black Panther Party in
Chicago,
Illinois.
right?
Yeah, in the whole state of Illinois. And we know that you know, his work was phenomenal. At age 14, he was as a junior NAACP captain. He received his first Fed file. The feds knew that that he was a powerful young man from an early age, so they began to track him and they put a Fed file on him. At age 14, I believe he organized about 500 junior NAACP members, you know, at that age. And we know that, you know, throughout Chicago, under his leadership and direction, they had the Breakfast for Children program, where he's feeding young brothers and sisters, school-age children, feeding the community. They had sickle cell programs, you know, health cadre, the whole time. You know, they were putting in work without government assistance. You know? And it's because of folks like Chairman Fred Hampton that that the schools here in the United States, they began their Breakfast for Children program.
Yeah.
You know, but also folks aren't familiar that Chairman Fred introduced the original Rainbow Coalition. And the Rainbow Coalition consisted of whites from the Appalachian Mountain, Brown Beret, you know what I'm saying? Of course, the Panther Party, a number of other different formations, Native formations, etc. You know, came together under this Rainbow Coalition. Now, the Rainbow Coalition was hijacked by a cat that one of the ancestors, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, would call Messy Jesse Jackson. So Jesse jacked, pun intended, Jesse jacked my man's work. I mean, he jacked the Rainbow Coalition. Chairman Fred used to say, "I am a revolutionary." And Jesse Jackson started saying, "I am somebody." You understand what I'm saying? So the whole thing, he became, you know, he switched Rainbow Coalition to Operation Push. And we already know that Jesse has a long list and history of putting himself in places. We know that we've heard stories from Hosea Williams, a freedom fighter and activist from right here in Atlanta, who talked about how when King was assassinated on that balcony, how Jesse ran up and dipped his hand in the blood and had blood all over his shirt and whatnot, you know, and Jesse wasn't even on the hotel balcony when it went down, you know, so it's all kinds of stories around that. But getting back to Chairman Fred, you know, he was a serious organizer, you know, and at age 21, him and Deputy Defense Captain Mark Clark was assassinated.
They were killed in the same day, same room, right?
Yes, sir.
Same apartment.
Assassinated in the same apartment. You know, Chairman Fred was drugged by an agent by the name of William O'Neill, who spiked his Kool-Aid and laid out 4 plans for the government. And around 4 a.m., they were vamped on. And our brother, Chairman Fred Jr., talks about the first piece of metal that he felt in his mother's belly wasn't a stethoscope, but it was a revolver from the Chicago Police Department. You know what I mean? So we give thanks for the work of Chairman Fred Hampton. Of course, you know, there was a little BS movie that came out about him. Forgetting the name of the movie, maybe Judas and the Black Man.
Actually, I would even say there are 2 movies. There were 2 movies that came out recently. The first one was not, you know, focusing on Chairman Fred Hampton, but you know, there were sections of the movie, including the conclusion, which were dealing with his assassination. Not the conclusion, I think it was at the beginning, It was Spike Lee's joint, Black Klansman. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the first one, and the most recent one, which I think you were referring to, is the Judas and the Black Messiah.
Right,
Right.
right, right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I know that Chairman Junior was young chairman, as we call him, was one of the consultants on that particular piece.
Mm.
Of course, he wasn't a director, so he got it as good as they could get it. But I remember speaking to him some years ago, before they came up with that particular name. Initially, they wanted to call it "Jesus is My Homeboy."
Wow.
Yeah, so that
Right.
got shut down, and it ended up being Judas and the Black Messiah. But yeah, so it just shows you like what they do, and now there's all types of different stage plays and the like in regards to him because they want to make him a safe character opposed to a revolutionary.
Yeah.
I mean, and we know that that's what they do. It's like right here in at Langley, I believe, the CIA headquarters. They have a statue of Harriet Tubman, and they have her. It sounds insane, don't it? Like, can you imagine that? Like, how does that work? You know,
Now
but
they're constantly spitting on the legacy of our heroes and heroes,
yeah,
but
yeah,
they're very picky in the
yeah,
way they choose people whom they want to celebrate and others whom they still want to demonize. And in any case, if they want to celebrate someone, they will eradicate all the revolutionary content
right,
of their struggle and focus on some aspects of their life which they think are compatible with the so-called American way of life, American values.
right,
Amical Cabral used to talk about that. There's a speech that he was in the late 1960s on the legacy of Lenin. I think it was in Moscow. So he was
hmm
saying, he was paraphrasing Lenin, saying that what is one of the tricks of the imperialists is that while you're alive, they persecute you, they demonize you, they do everything to get rid of you, and as soon as you die, they start extolling your virtues, saying what a big man you were, important personality, but they will try to overlook,
right,
uh, try to eradicate, like I said, all the revolutionary aspects of
right,
the life of those great heroes. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Fred Hampton, because
right,
unfortunately, I think a lot of people have a very romanticized Hollywood type of conception or perception of the Black Panther Party, but
right.
they don't really dig into their real politics. Okay,
No,
despite the internal contradictions that they had. This is something I won't delve into because you had Duruba bin Wahad talk about that for at least 20 shows, right? So he's definitely more knowledgeable about that, and he actually talked about that when he came in France. Last time was in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, those movies also reflect the continued assault on the legacy of our heroes and heroes. Okay,
no,
because in the first movie, what you basically learn is that the FBI has been protecting Black people to fight against white supremacy and Black radicals. Okay,
right, right.
this is they put them on the same, uh, you know,
Spectrum. Right,
yeah, they put them on the same wavelength.
right,
Okay, and the funny thing is that the in the Black Klansman, the cop who successfully infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan.
right,
Okay, he has a lot of white, colleagues who are very well disposed towards Black people.
hmm
Okay, so I think I was very surprised, by that movie because I know I was very disappointed, surprised and disappointed because I didn't expect Spike Lee to embark on that type of propaganda. I mean, it's an insult to our ancestors, right?
right.
Anyways, we all have our contradictions. And the second movie, like you said, I think this is something that Deruba has also been discussing with you, is that if you watch the movie, the actual hero is the traitor.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But
Still,
that's
the
what
hero.
we do. Yeah,
They humanize him, better than they do humanize Fred Hampton.
yeah,
I mean, he's crazy.
yeah. But that's the job of imperialism. That's when you talk about propaganda. That's why the cops are always the good guys. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? As bad as they are, they're the good guys. You know what I'm saying? Even if they show a situation with corrupt cops, they're gonna eventually show some good cops in it to make it look like, man, this is just one bad apple, or broken window policing, etc. You know, but when you talk about the sanitizing of a legacy, you know what I mean? We look at someone like Malcolm.
mm.
You know, there was a time that they had Malcolm on the U.S. stamp.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? To show you how insane. And we got to give it, and it's up for debate. When you talk about Spike Lee, he came up with the movie Malcolm, and it's wild that you think about what you're saying. So here it is. Spike puts out this movie on Malcolm, which is great, right? And he
And
had
before that, he did Do the Right Thing, which I think
right,
was a great movie.
right.
That was 3 years before Malcolm X.
Right. So, but Malcolm, who played Malcolm?
Denzel.
Black Klansman, who played the
Yeah,
black cop?
Denzel's son, right?
Denzel's son. You know what I mean? So, it's I don't think
Yeah. I got you
yeah,
now. I got you.
yeah. I don't think it's coincidental.
I don't
You
think it's
understand?
coincidental either.
Yeah. But I don't think people look at it like that, right? And also, when you talk about, at the time, of course, and I've had this debate and discussion with different people, and some people say that the Malcolm movie didn't do any good for black people. I disagree with that.
Yeah,
I
I
think that,
also disagree.
yeah, I think a lot of people were turned on to Malcolm because
Exactly.
of that particular movie. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I watched that movie. It was I think I was 14 or 15. It was the
Mhm.
first time I heard of Malcolm,
Oh wow.
and this is where I started reading about Malcolm's life and legacy. I first read his autobiography, which was the first book I read in English, by the way,
Oh wow.
the age
Oh,
of 17. And
okay.
then, I also read recently the latest book on Malcolm that I've read, which I will recommend, by the way. You've probably read it as well, is the biography that Les Payne published. I think it was actually, I think he had passed away before the book was eventually published. It
Okay.
was two years ago. The Dead Are Rising. That's the title of the book. So I think
Okay.
it's an excellent biography of Malcolm X. Maybe we can have Leslie's daughter, Tamara Payne, someday in the show. It's probably one of the best books I've read on Malcolm. But anyways, just to
Yeah.
bring on your to build on your point, I think the movie has really had an impact on the awareness of black people worldwide.
Right.
Okay, you can blame it on Hollywood saying this is a propaganda movie, but
Yeah.
even in Africa, in many other countries throughout the diaspora, when the movie came out, I was only one, right? It was in 1992,
Oh
but I
wow.
was told by my elders
You
that
was born in '92.
I was born in 91. But anyways,
Oh,
I
you
was
were '91.
I was
Okay.
told by my elders, including many of the brothers and sisters who are still in the struggle to liberate African people over here in the diaspora, France and Europe generally, that a lot of people were very excited about the movie
Right.
uh, because we're making them very proud, you know, of that, seeing that fearless, uncompromising, uncompromisingly dedicated to the struggle of black people, right?
Right.
You know, being given international prominence, right? And also, they also told me that then a lot of people were buying, clothes or caps with X on it, right? That
Right.
was a tribute to Malcolm X, and a lot of people got to know Malcolm X through that movie. Like I would
Right.
say, 99% of my friends or people I know, first learn of Malcolm X after watching that movie. So whatever you might think of that movie, it actually triggered interest on Malcolm from, well, I don't know what the figures might be, maybe millions of African people
Oh
throughout
yeah.
the.
Yeah. No, I've had this argument with a certain professor on screen. and it was, you know, they were certain that this movie did no justice. And my argument is, as organizers, we have to take the tools and make them work in the interest of the people, right? So if we know that it's a Hollywood rendition, once they drop that, then we got to come with the backup. We got to introduce them to the autobiography of Malcolm X. We got to introduce them to people like Paul Lee and Peter Goldman, some of the foremost authorities on Malcolm.
Exactly.
Two folks that I actually had for the first time and the only time that they've appeared together on camera was on my show RSTV, which I recommend folks watch because they go in depth as far as like the history and legacy of Malcolm, the assassination, you know, who he was, so on and so forth. You know, Peter Goldman actually interviewed Malcolm a couple times. He's a white man, but I think he interviewed him for, I forget which paper, I don't want to try to guess. And then Paul Lee, you know, they both are folks who, anytime there was any type of movie around Malcolm, they're usually some of the go-tos. You know what I'm saying? Paul Lee, shout out to Paul Lee and Peter Goldman. Paul Lee, he actually, this guy can look at a picture and tell you where the picture was taken, what year it was taken, and damn near who was there when it was taken. You know what I'm saying? He's a Malcolmite, as they talk about Garveyites. He's like someone, you know, that can put it into historical context and place it in the right space. Now, I do say, in regards to Spike, yeah, Spike had the overpriced Malcolm jackets, $300, $600 jackets. You know what I'm saying? Literally, the X jackets. I mean,
baseball caps.
Yeah, the baseball caps. If you was getting the 40 acre and the mule joints, you was paying top notch on the hats, the shirts, everything.
And you know what's crazy? I was reading. That was actually 2 years ago. I read Russell Rickford's biography of Dr. Betty Shabazz. And you know what's crazy about the commercialization of Malcolm back then was that even the people who were, you know, managing the interests, okay, the commercial part, had actually ties with apartheid South Africa. I don't know if you remember that, because maybe you had already heard that story back in the 1990s, but was also, you know, an example of how the legacy of our heroes and sheroes can be hijacked for commercial purposes that are perfectly compatible with the interests of the empire, right?
Yeah. But you know that's capitalism, right? And that's imperialism. It's funny. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was talking about sneakers, shoes, right? I was talking about Puma and Adidas. I don't know if you heard that story, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Adidas and Pumas was started by two brothers. They were rivals. So initially they started a shoe company together, but they fell out. So the shoe company originally, I think it was named Geda or something like that, GEDA.
Okay.
And they were
they're both German, right?
Yeah, they were Nazis. They were part of the Nazis.
Okay.
Yeah. Not only were they German, but they were Nazis. And this is facts. You can look it up. So they had this shoe company together, and for whatever reason they fell out. But before they fell out, they had like Jesse Owens when he was running in the Olympics. He was wearing their shoes, right? So basically, the two brothers was Adolf Dassel, I believe, and Rudolf Dassel. And the name Adidas came from Adolf. It was ADI.
Wow.
So Adidas. And what happened was when they fell out, he had Adidas, and the brother Rudolph, he had started a sneaker called Ruda, but he ended up changing it to Puma. Right? Now, and then during World War II, they ended up shutting the shoe company down for a while, and they started manufacturing ammunition, you know, for the war. But then they got back on their whole shoe game, right? So they were bitter rivals. these two blood brothers. And what ended up happening is, I know there was some situation in, I believe it was 1970, where they had the World Cup. And Pele was the biggest athlete, if not one of the biggest athletes, him and Muhammad Ali, of that particular time in the era. So, they made a pact saying, I believe it's called the Pele Pact, that they wouldn't, neither one of them would go after Pele for the whole, for the peace, because it'd be an expensive thing and all that, so on and so forth. They was like, okay, cool. But Rudolph broke the pact, and he ended up getting Pele to wear Pumas.
Okay.
And when the World Cup was starting, Pele asked the ref to hose on the game. He had to tie his shoe, and he's tying his shoe, and all the cameras are on that Puma. So that marked. People say that that's when the whole athletic shoe game and apparel began to kick off on another level, right? But these dudes was brothers, and they was rivals. But even as Nazis, they would utilize black people to promote what it is they had to offer. They didn't care about none of the fact that these were blacks. And of course, I'm sure that they probably referred to them as whatever derogatory name that they could think of, that would be German or Nazi-ish or whatever. But most people wear these shoes and they don't know the origin story.
I didn't know it either, to be honest.
Right. Because we just take it and we just run with it. But my point is, with imperialism, with capitalism, two brothers can go to war with each other and be rivals, but they'll still utilize your ass as a tool. You know what I'm saying? So that's the, and that, even with liquor, I don't know. Over here they got this cheap liquor they call it's all kinds of flavors. They call it Mad Dog 2020, right? MD 2020. So this is a cheap liquor that's sold in all the little hood stores. Or it's low budget. It's like Kool-Aid. It's, you know what I'm saying, but it's very cheap. You can get a bottle probably like $3 or something, right? But then this same company, it's called Mogan David. They have a kosher wine, and that's used for Passover and so on and so forth. That isn't the same as the Mad Dog. You know what I'm saying? So they drink the Mogan David and they give us MD 2020. Now, most people don't even know that MD 2020 stands for Mogan David. Everybody refers to it as Mad Dog. But we can go on and on. The whole thing with Gin and Juice, when Snoop Dogg had the whole Gin and Juice song, you know what I'm saying? That was owned by the juice, and the gin was owned by the Seagram's Corporation, which also owned Interscope Records, which Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg was signed to. So when he dropped the song Gin and Juice, which was popular around the world, I'm sure you heard it, it was literally a commercial for Interscope, for Seagram's, because they had the gin and the juice. They were selling both of them. And black folks, again, as consumers and as victims of capitalism, we take it and run for it. And now we see where Snoop is. He's marching around in your town, in your country.
Yeah, he's back in the US now. He's been around for 3 weeks during the Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Y'all send him back? But anyway.
Yeah, I had to go by at some point.
We appreciate that. Y'all took all of them. Flavor Flav, I thought they was gone for good, but y'all.
Yeah, Flavor Flav was also around. I think he was the ambassador of the water polo female team of the US.
Listen, man.
I saw that in the news.
We got to get Professor Griff to talk about that. Shout out to Professor Griff, and check out his show, which came on Wednesday. Make sure you check out Arm the Masses every Wednesday at noon. But anyway, we went all off topic, going from Chairman Fred to Malcolm, Spike Lee, to the forming of Adidas and Pumas. You know what I mean? To Mad Dog 2020, to Gin and Juice. But that's what happens on the Rise Up Morning Show. We can take you from one extreme to the next, and our goal and what we're aiming for, our objective is Black liberation, is African liberation. So keep that in mind. We're gonna go to a quick Black Power break. I think we ought to give him some of our main man. This is his born date today. Let Chairman Fred speak to him, and we'll be right back at you. Black Power Media Rise Up Morning Show. Let's go.
You basically knowing my ideology, and basically you knowing me knowing yours, you can support some of our programs. Is that what you're saying?
Why not?
And you believe in programs like the Breakfast with Children program and free health clinics? Right on, brothers?
We believe they're good things.
Uh-huh.
As a focal point to organize their mothers and fathers.
Uh-huh.
Peace.
Mm-hmm. There's no educational program here?
That's come out of the social action thing. You know, you set that up, brother. I mean, we can't put everything on one piece of paper.
What about this bank?
Credit union?
Mm-hmm.
Credit union. Credit union, my brother.
Is a bank.
Are you hip to credit unions? It is a bank.
Yeah, you go and borrow money?
Yeah, it's a bank. It's a bank. Owned by the people. Run for the people. And by the people.
What will money be given out to people for?
Well, the people would decide that. You want to buy, you know, whatever, you know, the people in the community decide.
You need some living room furniture, maybe? You need a car, maybe?
See, the thing is with me, you dig, I need to know some more about it. I wish you had some more literature about the educational thing here. Because, you dig, as far as we're concerned in the struggle, the way we look at struggle is that this depends on the educational thing, you dig. Because
this depends on the education. Well, the whole thing.
No, but in the end, this does. You can form this with no education. You can form this and this.
No, not the way we're talking about forming it. You know, right. We're talking about forming it right. You know, it's not on the paper. We didn't write it on the paper.
You can form it right with no education.
No.
Let me give you an example. Yomo Kenyatta formed the excellent revolution with no education. And on the day of the end thing, Yomo told the motherfucker, said, well, you know, you can educate, hate the enemy, but I'm your brother. I'll help you lead the revolution. Now I'm going to oppress you. Another example, Papa Doc in Haiti. Papa Doc in Haiti hated everything white. Man, you couldn't put this white paper in front of Papa Doc's face. But he moved all the white people out and he took over and be oppressed. He did, because of no education. And the people that had been educated, they just said that we don't hate the motherfucking white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow. So we got to know the educational program to find out what it's going to be in the finale. A lot of people, Yomo Kenyatta is called never a revolutionary, but an ex-revolutionary. So is Papa Doc. They brought on a successful revolution. That thing in the Mao's was a bitch. Bantu freedom fighters, all that kind of action. But what we're saying is that it's the end. That you don't judge Castro now. You can't do it. Nobody in this room could judge whether Castro's going to be a revolutionary or not. You know what I mean? We're talking about things, you know what I mean, with China, the People's Republic, and even at the stage they're in now, talking about even going on further into a communistic state. That's what we're talking about. Those are revolutionary. So we got to understand here the educational program that you have to be able to figure out whether it will go on the right lines where the people will end up in a situation where they can be able to really control themselves. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, the people take this local foundation and start stealing money because they won't be really educated to why it's a people's thing anyway. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa now, like you got in Haiti. So what we're talking about is there has to be an educational program. That's very important. As a matter of fact, it's so important for us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party, able to even run down ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have an education, then they're nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? They're nowhere because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You might get people caught up in the emotionalist movement. You understand me? You might get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be capitalists. And before you know it, we have Negro imperialists.
Rise Up Morning Show. That was Chairman Fred Hampton. I don't know, Boona, what's your thoughts, man? He lay it out or what?
You know, what has always struck me in Chairman Fred Hampton's, you know, not only his rhetoric but his politics, is that whole nature. He was, I don't know how old he was back then, you know, when this video was
He's about 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he died at the age of 21, so he was probably around 20, right? I mean, where can you find a 20-year-old young adult
Insane, right?
who has this
Yeah.
level of politics. Okay, so he was able to predict. He was actually describing what Jomo Kenyatta had become, the neo-colonial cooptation of some of our movements, in the neo-colonial domination of our countries. In that video, he talked about Cuba, Africa, the U.S.,
Yes.
Haiti, education. So he already had that, black internationalist or Pan African outlook, and he was only 20 years old. Okay.
In that video, what you just described all fit into 3 minutes and 54 seconds. You just said all types of things he talked about. You know what I'm saying? Internationally, and it was less than 4 minutes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And when you talk about him 20, you have to keep in mind too, because folks say he was assassinated at 21. Literally, he had only been 21 3 years when he was assassinated. I mean, 3 months
Pretty
when he was
much.
assassinated. 3 months, because he was born his birthday, he would have turned 21 August 30th, and he was assassinated December 4th, 1969. You understand what I'm saying? So you talking about a brother who all the work you consider as what they would call an adult in the US, 21,
Yeah.
he had only been considered or declared an adult for 3 months. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So the work that he did, his rap, what I'm saying, his whole thing, to this very day, we're commemorating this brother's legacy because there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? You're talking about it. You're in Paris, excuse me, or you're in France, and you know who Fred Hampton is. You know
Yeah.
Chem. You know what I'm saying? That's what revolution is supposed to
Mm.
be about. We supposed to know these freedom fighters like folks know these rappers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you know Rick Ross, you should know Little Bobby Hutton. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you know Meek Mills, you should know Jonathan Jackson, because
Yeah.
these are the cats that really did what these clowns are lying about doing.
Yeah. But unfortunately, one of the challenges that we, as the so-called younger generation, we're facing is that, and I'm just going to paraphrase, things that Doruba has said on your shows, several of your shows, that we're disconnected, we're not in touch with our radical history, and since we are not in touch with our radical history, which, by the way, should not be blamed only on us, because the
Yeah,
system, okay,
of course.
the imperialist neo-colonial system that is, making every endeavor to make sure that we are not in touch with that radical history. And since we are not in touch with that radical history, we tend to be engaged in fights that we've already won, okay,
Right.
or repeat some mistakes that,
You've already made.
could have been avoided if we had a better understanding what our ancestors have stood for and what they fought for. And I
Right.
think Fred Hampton is a perfect example because, like you said, he was very young back then, but he was already very clear in his revolutionary politics. I don't think people who have eventually sold out will continue referring to Fred Hampton, because I think to many he's still radioactive, right? Although they will not confess. So, yeah, I think it's actually when I started reading about the Black Panthers, I found out about Fred Hampton. That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
I was actually shocked that I had never heard his name before. It was only when I was 29 or 28 years old that I first heard his name. But all the other names that you've mentioned, those rappers, you hear them all the time, right? Because
Right.
also the system that is promoting them. If you want to promote our own version of Fred Hampton, probably a book that we'll be writing, you, since you're based there in the US, publishing. Otherwise, if the system is, promoting Fred Hampton, they will just do, like in the movie they've done, Judas and the Black Messiah. So I think one of the real challenges that we're facing is to have our own narrative being, spread throughout the diaspora. not only from English speaking or US centric perspective, because Fred Hampton was actually a hero for for the entire African nation, not
Indeed,
only for Black Americans.
without a doubt, without a doubt. But to your point, you know, if you talk to the average, and I hate to use the term Black American because I don't consider myself a Black American. I'm African in America. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? We're not claiming, their bullshit. You don't kidnap me and give me your last name, and I'm supposed to go by your last name. That's the craziest shit you could think about.
I should stop using that term, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's like you really think about it. It's like why do I accept that? That means that that I've surrendered.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? That I've accepted that. Someone come in your house, they take your daughter. You know what I'm saying? And she already knows her name, and then they say, you know what? You're no longer going to be the daughter of Boona. You know what I'm saying? We're going to call you Barishnikov or some crazy shit. You walking around talking about her last name is Barishnikov. That would be insane. It's like, either you surrendered or you lost your mind totally.
Mm.
But this is how we have to look at it. So the average African in America, they don't know who Patrice Lumumba is.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? Just like you didn't know Chairman Fred.
Mm.
They don't know no Didon Kamate. Who is that? You understand what I'm saying? They don't know Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
Sekou Toure. We can go on and on and on.
Mm.
They know the names that the establishment have pushed up. Of course, they know Nelson Mandela, but they don't know anything about Winnie. And if anything, they say Winnie is Nelson's wife.
Yeah.
You get no political background.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In fact,
I made the same test that was like a few months ago. So we were actually in a rally on Palestine. Okay, support for our brothers and sisters who are being genocided by the settler colonial state of so-called Israel. Anyways, I asked people if they knew Nelson Mandela. Okay, and everybody raised their hands. When I say Winnie, there were only one person.
Right.
Then I asked Chris Hani, nobody knew him. So yeah, exactly. I mean, we get to know what the system is teaching us, but you have to go beyond that, obviously.
Yeah, Chris Hani. They don't even. Man, listen. If you
Chris
say
Hani was even more popular than Mandela back then.
of course,
In South Africa.
But if you told them that you would give them $1 billion, they wouldn't even get it. You know what I mean? And that's just the facts, because again, that's what imperialism needs us to be disconnected. I mean, you have to understand, you and I on this screen right now, the fact is we're from two generations, two different generations. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I literally have children older than you, which seems wild, right? But we're making a connection. And so then you have some of these other OGs you talked about who come from a different generation than I do. So it is a blessing for us to be able to be in conversation and to connect the dots. And I feel that it's important for us to do it this way because we have to tap into all of these generations. So we can't use the same old excuse saying that there's a disconnect because we're connected.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now our job as organizers is taking this shit to, not shit, but taking this information and giving it to our comrades, to our siblings, or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality.
The African masses. Which I think was also one of the strengths of the Black Panther Party, because they were really appealing to the masses and the working class.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we have to also build on their, legacy and not try to reinvent failure, as Droba had, always says, because like you've always, pointed out in this show, having these YouTube shows is very important for us to be, connected and also to reach out to our own people. But at the same time, this should not replace the grassroots work that we should be doing.
Absolutely not.
We have to be connected with the masses. And I think it's also one of the challenges that we're facing, because with the type of work that many are doing, and I'm not, singling out everyone. Some of us might become YouTube revolutionaries,
Yeah.
just like you have armchair revolutionaries. So I really appreciate that. You've been running this channel, Black Power Media, for several years right now, and at the same time, be so involved in the grassroots struggle, whether for political prisoners, against police brutality, racism, in the solidarity movement with people of Africa, Haiti, and yeah, I really appreciate because we also need to learn from our elders, because
Yeah.
one of the tricks that we also should escape is to think that our elders have failed in whatever endeavor
Of course. Of
they've,
course.
they've,
And,
they've
and that's generational
mm,
because with us it's the same thing. So I only imagine with your generation and those under you, because there's a generation under you as well. So we're in a unique space right now, right? You know what I mean? But the point in saying what I'm saying is, um, we all think we have the answers, and we all think that the revolution started when we popped up on the scene. You
yeah.
know? So, and that just is funny because I recall, you know, debating and trying to argue with elders back in the day. See, nah, man, the way we gonna do it, like they look at me like damn, they pat my head like, okay, and they laughing with each other like, oh yeah, and then what y'all gonna do? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? But now looking at it, I'm like, shit, they was like my age I am now, or younger, and they laughing because I'm talking about, man, y'all should have did this, and we would have did that, and that right there is, not only were we arrogant, but we were ignorant with our arrogance. You have to choose one. You can't be both. You can't
Mm,
be arrogant and ignorant. You know what I'm saying? But
mm,
that's where we was. That's where we
mm.
were. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So the thing is, it's lessons in struggle. You know what I'm saying? Political education is not just what you read in a book.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a cultural thing. It is it defines where you are socially and
Mm,
how and where you need to be, because the reality is, unfortunately, many of us are, conditioned by conditions. You understand what I'm saying? Many of us are, we have accepted the backwards and wayward activities and uh, moves of society, so much so that it's become our norm. And even with the quote unquote freedom fighter, we wax nostalgic. We you know folks our generation, younger, probably your generation as well. You know, many of them was trying to be the new Black Panther Party. You understand what I'm saying? As if the Black Panther Party don't exist. And I
mm,
even hear people saying the original Black Panthers. There's no original Black Panthers. It's the Black Panthers. You know what
mm.
I'm saying? You're not the original Booner, and somebody come along and say, I'm the new Booner, and you sitting right there. Like, who the hell are you? You know what I'm saying? If anything, you say veteran Panthers because of the fact that these are folks who were freedom fighters and are freedom fighters who fought uh, against this war
Mm,
war against hegemony and white domination.
mm,
So we have to look at this thing. We got to take it to another level, but we also have to understand that we're dealing with systems here. You know, for the viewers and for us as well. You can't just watch an hour or two of YouTube and think that's going to liberate us.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? You just can't read a book or so a week and think that's liberation.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? This thing has to be uh, it has to be a part of our daily lives. This is it. We have to be indoctrinated. We have to be, to a great extent, um, revolutionarily possessed. We got to be possessed with the spirit of Africa, and we got to know that every move we make has to be towards our liberation, or we're taking a step backwards. You understand what I'm saying? Because we'll be confused into thinking that we can meet with our organization once a week for 2 hours a week and call ourselves organizers. The state has systems upon systems. And in every area, in every crevice of the world, whether it's the FBI here or the CIA or what's it, MI6 or, you know what I'm saying, KG, ever, it's different forces who are hell-bent on keeping imperialism at the top of the charts.
Yeah.
That's the order of the day. That's the order of the day. You going to martial arts class for 45 minutes out the week, that ain't gonna get it alone. You understand what I'm saying? You reading your book and coming back quoting, that's not gonna get it either. You watch Black Power Media, your favorite show, or whatever station you watching. You know what I'm saying? Just for that little bit of time to hear some folks rap, that ain't gonna cut it. You have to be a part of an organization, and your organization has to be like your body itself. It has to be a part of your physical, your spiritual, and your mental. And if it's not, then we're fooling ourselves. It's cute that we could debate, and I'm a vegan, and I'm, a pescatarian, and I drink alkaline water, and I could do push-ups and backflips, and none of that shit will get us free. It's the practice of it, and it has to be, systemic. It has to be part of the systems and institutions that we build, or we fail. This is why we're trapped, because folks tell me, I'm an organizer, I'm a revolutionary. And the most revolutionary thing they'll do is go to a rally and speak on a megaphone. To make sure folks got pictures of them doing so they can post it on social media and people can praise them, and perhaps they can get some type of...
Yeah, with social media.
Yeah.
You got new type of revolutionaries who are doing exactly like what you just described.
Sometimes I struggle with myself, even coming on this platform. Even coming on Black Power Media, I have to justify what it is I'm going to say, what kind of message I have to get across, what are we going to say, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And sometimes I'm almost ashamed, but then I realize it's a tool of propaganda that we must use. We must use, because if we're reaching people right now, how do we know it? Because right now we are absolutely international. You're in France, I'm in the US right now. Right now. So if we didn't reach anybody today, and it's just you and I, we're building.
You're reaching people beyond Africans in America. Definitely.
Exactly. Whether we know it or not. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you might feel like you're talking to yourself until you see the chat. And I know it's all kinds of agent provocateurs in the chat, and everybody got some bullshit to talk and all that. And everybody's talking about what we should be doing and what we should be talking about and all that. You're very welcome to hop your ass on and talk about it yourself. In fact, we have some openings on the platform. If you really want to get up and rap, you know what I'm saying, then do so. You know what I'm saying? But if not, STFU and support those who are fighting. You know what I'm saying? Support those who are organizing. Support those who are taking their lives and making it a part of our people's liberation movement. You know what I mean? So again, I know that we're doing a short show today. We had all kinds of news and all that type stuff, but we just ran past all the news. So make sure you all check us out next week. Of course, this is Friday's show. We just want to hit you with a little dose. We both are very busy. We both are organizers, and we'll be organizing where we are. For folks who are in the U.S., if you're in the Richmond area, we have Happily Natural Festival going on this weekend in Richmond, Virginia. You have folks like The Last Poets. We have our sister Sonny Patterson, whose voice can be heard all throughout Black Power Media. We have our brother Balogun OJ Tade, myself, a number of other different farmers, freedom fighters, so on and so forth. For the next several days, we'll be out there making sure that our people are learning and growing physically, mentally, and spiritually. We have to feed our people not just with some funky ass sandwiches, some old bread. We got to feed them information and power. And we
political education.
that political education is.
Like Malcolm said, actually, I think it was in the charter, or at least the draft of the charter of the Organization of Afro American Unity back then, said that education is our passport to the future.
Right.
For tomorrow belongs to those who prepared for it today. So
okay. But Boona be quoting more than me. All my folks be laughing at me. They be like,
that's the only thing I can do. Organizing is very difficult. So I just read books, show on Black Power Media, quote them so people can think I'm smart, right?
you like some other folks out there. We know more. More than
because we have so many. And here again, I'm not hating on anyone.
No.
But remember when we had Amzat, our comrade Amzat, who actually wrote a book on Walter Rodney on Mali, Nigeria, and also the French neo-colonial empire. He said that when he wrote his biography of Walter Rodney, you had some African scholars in the U.S. who didn't want to write the foreword to that book because they were very afraid of the consequences.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So we have experts on Africa,
who
are teaching in the U.S., getting tens of thousands of dollars. And that's good for them. I mean, I'm not hating on them, but this has a price. And the price is that they have to be silent on the consequences or the impact of U.S. imperialism in Africa, or even U.S. imperialism on Africans in America.
Right.
Because those people, they will never talk about police violence, police brutality that is disproportionately affecting their fellow Africans in the U.S. So reading books is very important. This is something that I really encourage. We have on this show 2 weeks ago, Dr. Gerald Horn, whom is one of my greatest sources of inspiration. His work has been a great source of inspiration to my own struggle. He wrote like 50 books. Okay, probably his 50th book will be coming out next year, but he's been organizing for more than 50 years. Okay, this is the type of scholars that we need. And remember, he was trained as a lawyer.
Yes. And
he studied history.
Yeah.
The purpose of history is to learn from the past. Okay, as he always says, you have to learn from the past, not only to celebrate your ancestors or blah blah blah. Because this is something. If you, like Amos Wilson said, if you just learning history or quoting some historical figures just to inflate your ego, you'll be very, very proud. Okay, but this is not going to be sufficient to change your situation. Anyways, going back to Horn, he's still teaching at the university, but he was trained as an attorney, so he was defending Black people back then. He was actually the president of the National Conference of Black Lawyers back in the 1980s, mid-1980s, which led him to be targeted by the Zionist lawyer back then. But anyways, what I want to say is that reading books is not enough. If you're not using the knowledge from the books that you write or you read, you're not relevant to the community. You're not relevant to your people. And this criticism always also applies to me. I'm not trying to single out anyone.
Oh, yeah. No.
You have to bear in mind all the time.
Listen, man, and that's the whole thing, because even, you can get a publishing deal or whatever the case, and the publisher would be scared to push what it is you have. I mean, this piece right here, Beyond Cop Cities, Dr. Joy James and I, and a few other folks. I haven't seen the publishing company push it yet, but I know people are buying it because we're seeing it, seeing pictures all over the place, people tagging me into things in different countries, in different states, in different cities. But I'm looking for y'all to push this, publisher. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't they push it? I don't know. Maybe because of the name. You know what I'm saying? Beyond Cop City, dismantling state and corporate funded armies in prison.
Armies in prison, yeah.
It's a heavy title, the artwork, so on and so forth. Now that's not, and no, that wasn't a shameless plug. Is me pointing out that even when folks will allow you or offer you space at the table, the question is, how far are they willing to go with you? Understand what I'm saying? Because the thing is, when you talk about imperialism and when you talk about white supremacy, some of your friends might get affected. Some of your friends might get their toes stepped on. And you might value that friendship more than you value the lives of African and indigenous people. You understand? So that will be problematic.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I know some of y'all are like, man, how you gonna just call out the publisher? Listen, man, I'm just saying, oh, step your game up, my man, my guy, girl, woman, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, it's like, and I ain't tripping on it. I'm just saying, okay, boom, it's great. You know what I mean? But at the same time, as a revolutionary, as a freedom fighter, we expect more.
Mm.
We expect more from ourselves first. So if we expect more from ourselves, imagine what we expect from those we work with.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm willing to sacrifice and you hop on this platform and you say, oh, I like what you're doing, and I see you hop on it, then I assume that you hopping on it to further what it is we're doing. Not to just say, yeah, I'm coming to your house to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like I heard y'all got some food. We just coming to eat. We're gonna eat up all your food. The deuces. You know what I'm saying? That's of no, you know what I mean? That leaves us with no value, no substance, no nutrition, right? That just again we talk about the difference between as in the book 2000 Seasons, they talk about the desert and the stream. They talk about how the stream gives life and takes life, but the desert just takes life.
Mm.
You can't grow anything in the desert.
Mm.
You go there with hydrated, and you stay out there long enough, and it'll take everything from you. You know what I'm saying? To take your breath away, you're out there long enough.
Mm.
So we appreciate the work you're doing over in France and abroad, comrade. And for folks who want to continue to support the efforts that we are making here, make sure you subscribe to the platform. Share it. Because some folks are like, "Oh man, this is a great show. I wonder why it's not getting that many views because you're not sharing it. You're hoarding it and keeping it to yourself. You know what I mean? The state's not going to share it. What do you think? They're going to say, "Hey, listen to what these Negroes over here talk about." You know what I mean? They talk about shadow ban. Shit, we don't even. Shit. Listen, I don't even get the notifications. And I'm not only a client, I'm the president. It's like Rogaine. So if I don't get the notifications, I know you ain't getting the notifications. So we gotta share this thing. We gotta support it. We gotta subscribe.
Definitely.
Yeah, I hate to sound like a YouTuber, but that's what it is. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And also, support financially. Make a contribution.
Yeah.
You see the work we're doing. You see the magazine. We like that to remain free, complimentary. We would like our programming to remain free, complimentary. Films, all types of things. We have to build our own propaganda machine because we don't want to have to sign deals, book deals, and film deals, and all of that other stuff with people that don't have our best interests.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's up to us. If you are interested in supporting what it is we're doing, there's a ticker at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you support. You can donate to our Patreon, patreon.com/blackpowermedia. Reload it. The website is blackpowermedia.org. So if you say, well, I don't want to do Patreon, I only have PayPal. We got PayPal. Well, I don't want to do PayPal, Patreon. We only do Cash App. We got that too. So don't be coming with it. If you need to send a check, send it to Boona. I'm sure he'll make sure he'll make sure it's good.
Yeah, it's in euros.
Yeah, euros. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna say some francos, but that might not be worth much these days.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so send your euros and your dollars and everything, and we all the way with y'all, man. But definitely, anything you want to add before we break out, brother?
No, I think we need another, separate show on legacies of some of our heroes because we've discussed Malcolm and Fred Hampton. Malcolm is probably, the revolutionary who's had most important influence on my political and ideological outlook. But I think his legacy is still ignored, underestimated, including by, myself, because you know, you learn every day. So I think I have to keep learning on the legs of Malcolm, and also apply it. Okay, because it's not only about learning what our ancestors have done; it's also about perpetuating, you know, their legacy in concrete terms. Okay. So yeah, I really appreciate the discussion that we had today. This is not what has been planned, but anyways, I think it was a very, very good discussion.
Well, that's cool. As long as you think it's a good discussion, because you know how you do
I
it.
think it was a very important discussion.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I
But
think the comments that we get on the chat kind of reflect that. But yeah,
yeah. And
not
I
that
think
I want to congratulate myself, but I'm always, you know, very
for
happy.
president. Yeah, you know, ever since he voted for Obama back in the day.
I'm so glad I was not U.S. citizen back then, because
I'm glad you wasn't either, man.
my worst mistake. Anyways,
I'm glad you wasn't either, man. Because I'm like, man,
yeah,
this
and
cat.
shout out to one of our elders who transitioned a few years ago, Glenn Ford. You know, he talked
Absolutely.
about how the black misleadership class, so-called black misleadership class in the U.S. has been misrepresenting and hijacking the legacy of, you know, great heroes such as Martin Luther King, you know, Malcolm X. Some people even suggesting that Obama was kind of, you know, continuing or embodying their legacy, which I think was one of the worst insults. You know,
Well, I think they were. I disagree with you on that. I think he did embody the king, King Charles, Don King. You know what I'm saying? Not Martin Luther, but you know what I'm saying. But all of those kings, I think that he definitely was on point. So I don't know what y'all talk about, man, but yeah, he definitely, you
and
know,
yeah, talking about books, I think one of the projects that we'll be working on is have some of those, you know, that content translated into other languages,
yes,
because much
yes,
of that content is in English for obvious reasons. But I think that because I'm a bit familiar with the publishing industry here in France, the books that are translated into French are not necessarily the most revolutionary ones.
hmm,
Okay, they are
right,
not necessarily the most radical ones. Okay, if you take the Black movement for example, Black Revolutionary Movement, in 1960s, and you know, after that, I think some of the scholars and activists whose work is available in French are not the, you know, most radical, so quote radical unquote ones. So I think this is also work that we have to. I don't know even know if there is a book on Fred Hampton in Chairman Fred Hampton in French, for example, but I'll have to check it out. I know some brothers
yeah.
have written like very good articles on him, but yeah.
Well, we'll work on it. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? But this is one of the reasons why we need the support of the masses, of the people, because if
mm.
you like what it is we're doing, then we can fund our own,
Yeah, definitely.
you know. And I'm gonna challenge you and I to make sure that, you know, yeah, we have versions. We have Afropic, the
Mm,
magazine. I would definitely like to move into a French version as well.
yeah.
You know what I mean, so once we get these things translated, you know, a Spanish version and so on and so forth, because we need our brothers and sisters around the globe to feel what's going on. And as you all notice with our platform, we are um, we are absolutely um, direct and intentional about making sure that the subjects we speak on, the content we have is that of international, and that it is throughout the diaspora, and it's not just caught up on any particular one or two colonies. So, you know, stay tuned and continue to assist us in building this platform. Um, Another challenge I have for you, Buna, is one of the things that we talked about today was speaking on our leaders.
Mm,
I think that each week we should dedicate a portion,
yeah.
if it's once a week, to a
Mm,
different freedom fighter.
yeah.
So I would like to, two things I would like to implement, and you all tell us in the chat what you think. One would be a Free 'em All Friday, where we talk about political prisoners, a political prisoner, and a Freedom Fighter Friday, where
Mm,
we speak on a particular freedom fighter that folks can learn from.
yeah.
Um, So these are things that we're talking about. Make sure you join our email list again, blackpowermedia.org to stay abreast of what's going on. Share the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Black Power Media Reloaded. I've been told that folks have had problems trying to find it. Make sure you have Reloaded, because we are Reloaded, and we letting people know that it's on and popping. Black Power Media Reloaded. Anyway, Buna, it's been a pleasure rocking with you. But
likewise,
you ain't got to go home. You got to get the hell out of here. Anyway, you check it out, the Rise Up Morning Show. Y'all stay safe. Kalonji Changa alongside Buna. Till next week, we will see you in the whirlwind. Stay on point. Rise Up Morning Show. We out.
Rise up.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one. Well, the battle is to love yourself and function in society where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and that babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces when it's on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Well, my inner me, really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. Like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution, it's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy.